Really not mostly sunny and warm today. High temperature of 85. South.
Good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Unlike yesterday, I'm not scampering around at the very last minute trying to get everything up and running. We're ready to go. We'll get into the show open here in moments. Thank you so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. I just appreciate all of you so much. So thanks a lot. All right, we're getting close here. Here we go.
Here in the Sioux Falls Metro, try us at FM 105.1, Callow, News Talk 1320, and now at 105.1. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sounded a little cold on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in a no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along this morning. The big story is surrounding a candidate for governor in North Carolina this morning after CNN reported that he once called himself a black Nazi. He's denying all of this, by the way. Mark Robinson is an African-American. He is North Carolina's lieutenant governor. He's running for governor. And these CNN did a lengthy story on him. So Robinson also was endorsed by Donald Trump. The Reuters says he has a history of inflammatory comments, and he denied that this is him, that these allegations of things that were said by somebody claiming to be Mark Robinson, he's saying it's not him. And he said, let me assure you, the things you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson, he said. So he called the report salacious tabloid lies. We are staying, a lot of pressure on him to get out of the race in North Carolina. And he is refusing. He is saying we are staying in this race. So he made, he was on the allegation is that he was on a pornography website, and CNN said that Robinson wrote, slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few. Those are the kinds of comments, and there are a number of them. And a number of them are sexual posts. They're pretty lewd. I'm not going to share them on the program this morning. And again, he's denying that it's him. He's saying it was not him. He didn't do this. And the North Carolina Republican Party is standing behind Robinson, saying that this is what it boils down to. It's a smear campaign because they're losing on the issue of on policy. So the Republican Party in North Carolina said Mark Robinson has categorically denied the allegations made by CNN, but that won't stop the left from trying to demonize him via personal attacks. The and then you get one North Carolina Republican said the reporting was very concerning. And he said he thought Robinson needed to do more to reassure voters. How do you do that? Seriously. He's already absolutely denying it. So how do you then do more? You're already saying, it's not me. It's not me. That's, what more can you do then to reassure people? And I looked at some of the comments on the CNN story. Again, what more can you do? You're saying it's not you, and then it's really up to people as to whether or not they're going to believe it or not, I think. But that's a big story this morning. Also, this is something you may have heard this yesterday about a judge in Kentucky who was shot and killed in his chambers yesterday. And he was shot by the local sheriff. He's now charged with murder. And so the preliminary investigation, I hear stories like that. And just what causes people to just fly off the deep end and to do something like that? You've committed your life to law enforcement and then you turn around and you kill a judge. Wow. Just incredible. So again, the preliminary investigation says the sheriff shot District Judge Kevin Mullins multiple times following an argument inside the courthouse. Mullins had been a judge for 15 years and unfortunately died at the scene. So the sheriff, Sean Steins, surrendered, authorities say, without any incident. So the county prosecutor described an outpouring of sympathy as he recused himself and his office from investigations into the shooting. And he said he's got social and family ties with the judge, Mullins. He said, we all know each other here. Anyone from Letcher County would tell you that Judge Mullins and I married sisters, and that we have children who are first cousins but act like siblings. He said, for that reason, among others, I have already taken steps to recuse myself and my entire office. So this is just absolutely shocking. As we heard this yesterday, the Kentucky's Attorney General, Russell Coleman, said his office is going to collaborate with the Commonwealth's attorney in the region, and they'll act as special prosecutors then in the case. The Kentucky Supreme Court Chief Justice said he was shocked by this act of violence. The court system was shaken by this news. I think a lot of us were shaken by that. Can you imagine living in Kentucky? So Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said on social media, he said, there's far too much violence in this world, and I pray there is a path to a better tomorrow. So just incredible. That's a big story this morning. Also, in the presidential contest, we had a litany of Hollywood elites, and Democrats came out to a campaign event for which was led by Oprah Winfrey in order to support Vice President Kamala Harris. And the rally was called Unite for America. This took place in Michigan. There were a number of celebrities there. Meryl Streep, Bryan Cranston, Julia Roberts. They called in. Governor Gretchen Whitmer made an appearance. And there was a Washington Examiner's got a story on this. They say a likely unscripted moment occurred later. I don't know if I agree with them that this is an unscripted moment. I'm not buying it. They're reporting it's an unscripted moment. Harris was discussing gun rights when she said, if somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot. I probably should not have said that. My staff will deal with that later. Oh, that was so weird. You and I are to believe, that was just an off-the-cuff comment. Please. You think I just don't believe that. I don't believe it for a moment. She is trying to present herself now, when it comes to somebody trying to come into my house, they're getting shot. I just don't think that was an accident that she said this. anyway, the New York Post has got a story that Kamala Harris got called out by Oprah Winfrey for dodging a question. So she had to nudge Kamala Harris to get to the point during another word salad. So it was a policy question that had been posed by the audience, and Kamala Harris, in typical fashion, giving this rambling kind of word salad answer and response to it. And so Winfrey had to ask the question again. And Harris started off. She said, it's a wonderful and important question, because she was asked what she would do to secure the southern border. She said, so it's a wonderful and important question. I know my background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of the border state. So this is not a rhetorical or this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on. And so Winfrey at that point said, so to answer the question, and she was talking about this bill on the border, and she said, absolutely, when I'm elected as president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law. She didn't offer any new policies on how to solve the crisis at the border. So again, there were a number of celebrities that were there. Chris Rock, Ben Stiller, number of others, Bryan Cranston, all supporting Kamala Harris, which is their right. They're entitled to their opinions. But it's the fact that even Oprah had a hard time getting Kamala Harris to answer questions that were being asked, in which she did what she's been doing, and that is just responding with a bunch of nonsense, to a lot of questions. Other big stories this morning. A legal group with ties to Donald Trump filed a lawsuit yesterday against the Department of Homeland Security and the Secret Service, claiming that they're withholding records related to the attempted assassination of Trump in July. So this is a group called America First Legal, which was founded by former Trump advisor Stephen Miller, said in the suit that it expedited public records requests shortly after the incident in Butler, Pennsylvania. And they're looking for information about hiring standards and other practices at the Secret Service, but as of now have not received any documents. So they're suing over this. They're trying to get documents out of the Secret Service. Yeah, good luck with that. That's not a criticism of the America First Legal and what they're doing. They're have an expectation, I think, that a lot of Americans, that the government needs to provide this information and needs to be forthcoming. And those, unfortunately, are not the times in which we live. Also, Donald Trump was on Newsmax yesterday, and he was the Federal Reserve half-point interest rate cut this week. Is big news. In fact, there are a number of stories surrounding this that are trending this morning, and I'll get to those for you coming up later this hour in Belf's News Gallery. But Donald Trump talking about the half-point interest rate cut this week, and he said the country is doing so badly, so you need the cut in one sense, in another sense, it really is a political move. And I think that's really important to understand. This is a political move. It's absolutely like everything else, everything is political right now. And so Trump said of the rate cut, most people thought it was going to be half of that number, which probably would have been the right thing to do. So it's a political move to try and keep somebody in office, talking about Democrats, but it's not going to work because the inflation has been so bad. And think of this, he missed the inflation. They missed it. They missed the number. They're either too early or too late. Now they're too early. Before they were too late. But inflation is already done. Trump said, I mean, it's hurt people so badly and the prices haven't come down. And he said, and now what you're seeing is bigger unemployment numbers because what's happening is the migrants coming in, taking the jobs of the Black population and the Hispanic population, and we're going to stop that very fast, Trump told Newsmax. Also, there is, I'm going to run the audio this morning for you a little later in the program. There is just incredible audio of a man who is a Trump supporter, and he's a proud Trump supporter, and he's not trying to hide the fact that he's a Trump supporter. And he was interviewed by CNN's Ellie Reeve. And again, his name is Joe Harner. And he said, you know, like everyone else, he wants prices to come down. He wants the economy to thrive. And then Reeves says, well, she didn't want to be rude, but she's noticing he's got a boat, you know, he could afford a boat and the upkeep of the boat, so he can't be hurting too badly. And she said, if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money, and it's, you know, she's saying, goes on with the question, and he responded to that, and he said, listen, nobody gave me blank, he says. I earned everything that I've got, and it was very respectful. He said, I'm retired military, retired power plant, and I'm successful and retired with boats, jet skis, because I did it right. And everybody has that chance. Whether they choose or not, that's up to them, he said. And then she said, well, she would never take away his success, but she wanted to, you know, clarify groceries were probably not a crucial item of his budget. Groceries are a crucial item for everyone's budget. What does she think he doesn't eat? She thinks what? He's not buying food? It's just crazy. So I was curious. I thought, well, let's someone to go take a look at this correspondent. And looked at it. CNN. And they've got all of her stories. So this story is called Inside the MAGA Boat Parade, where there's a contest for most Trumpian. Her previous story, who was Laura Loomer, the right-wing activist in Trump's inner circle? The story previous to that, Black and MAGA, the identity politics inside a pro-Trump store. The story prior to that, now this is going back into August, He's Our David, why a fan believes Donald Trump is getting more support among Black voters. And this just goes on and on and on. The only thing she's been reporting on is Trump. So this is CNN's got some continued problems. And I thought there's a piece this morning at Town Hall, Matt Vespa responding to this. There is a piece by Matt Margolis at PJ Media responding to this. So she asked, what's your most important issue? He didn't hesitate. The economy, getting the interest rates down, getting it where we can afford to live in America. Right now it's too expensive. And then she said, let me maybe ask like a slightly impolite question, but if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? So because he owned a boat, what? He's got no reason to complain? And he said, and I loved his response. I watched the video this morning, and again, I'm going to play the audio for you later. And he didn't drop a beat. He just said, listen, nobody gave me blank. He says, I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant. I'm successful and retired with boats, jet skis, because I did it right, and everybody has that chance. And then he talked about, she did press him then a little bit more on the, he didn't dress her down. I would have been tempted to dress her down. And he didn't. And she said, I think it's interesting that people who are a little bit more comfortable are still so concerned about the economy. What? This is the legacy media. And that, I think, is just really a incredible demonstration. Also, South Dakota Supreme Court is taking away the law license of former Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg for 6 months. So they released their disciplinary decision yesterday. And we'll talk about that in more detail coming up this morning and get your reaction. And that's a look at the big stories this morning here on Kello. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's 627, fair skies, 54. This hour of the show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello.
All right. Time got away from me there. I'd hoped to share more. That Trump supporter, that's worth playing. Getting a reaction on that this morning. We'll do that, I think, after 8. And I think I'll run that also in the 7 a.m. hour. Because that's just too rich.
Picture and combination windows, optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today. That's ABC Seamless.
Forgive me, just checking time here.
We're your local internet partner who understands what you need to fuel your business.
Okay.
Support customer service and remote teams with hosted point. Run cloud-based applications seamlessly with fiber internet speeds up to 10 gig. Use fiber internet packages that make creating the customized guest Wi-Fi experience easier. Visit GregUK.com/business to find your internet plan. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an
Finally found a decaf coffee I like. Hesitated to do that because caffeine really is so good for you. But I think it was getting me wired a little bit. The caffeine was.
Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. Please find the best.
6:30, fair skies in 54 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up A new group is formed to bring change to the South Dakota prison system. Also, the Fed is cutting interest rates, but did they wait too long? Economist Dr. Ernie Goss discusses that. So those stories on the way. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
Chris Foster. Former President Trump tells Israeli Americans Democrats have a hold or a curse on Jewish people who vote for them, and Israel will be annihilated if Vice President Harris wins.
47 days from now, we're going to defeat Kamala Harris. You have to defeat Kamala Harris. More than any other people on earth, Israel, I believe, has to defeat her.
The former president at an event in D.C. The Republican candidate for governor in North Carolina, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, says he will not drop out of the race and denies a new report about him.
According to CNN, Robinson, the Republican nominee for governor, quote, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a black Nazi and expressed support for reinstating slavery.
Fox's Jonathan Seri. Robinson's running against State Attorney General Josh Stein. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. With all the issues in the prison system this year, a new group has formed to try to effect change. That group gathered in downtown Sioux Falls last night. Kello's Tom Rooney was there.
They call themselves South Dakotans impacted by incarceration. They're concerned about their loved ones behind bars. Alicia drives from Omaha every other week to visit her son. He's serving a 90-year term and will celebrate his 25th birthday in prison in a few days.
My concerns are his mental health, his safety. He doesn't have much of an education access here. There aren't very many programs.
Tammy has two loved ones in the system, one on the Hill in Sioux Falls, the other in Springfield. She says conditions at both places are poor. Her trust level is low.
They're not giving them their basic needs, the basic medical care. They're just not being treated right or fairly. And somebody's got to speak up, and I guess it's us.
Tom Rooney, Kello News.
Thank you, Tom. The Federal Reserve Board is cutting interest rates. The question is, did they wait too long? Creighton University's monthly Rural Main Street Index is showing even weaker numbers than the economy in other parts of the nation. Here's economist Dr. Ernie Goss.
Did they cut rates because of politics? I don't think they did. Or did they reduce it because the economy is weak? They've stated they defeated inflation. Well, no, they defeated the economic growth.
Creighton survey shows a slight improvement in South Dakota's economy in the past month, but it's still in negative territory. Goss expects the Fed will cut rates again in November in an effort to get the economy going again. And the Minnesota Vikings and the Houston Texans will both try to stay undefeated when they face off in Minneapolis on Sunday. The Vikings are 2-0 coming off an upset win over the 49ers in Week 2. Minnesota has never lost to Houston. Sunday's game kicks off at noon. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Mostly sunny skies today and warm, high of 85. South winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy this evening and tonight, 62 our low. Winds becoming northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. We'll have a high of 80 for tomorrow. Slight chance for shower or thunderstorm, mainly south of Interstate 90. North winds tomorrow at 10 to 20. From the Kettleland Storm Center, I'm Scott Lund.
News as it unfolds and your chance to talk about it. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9 and Kello.com.
This week, we saw 2 espionage papers worthy of Mission Impossible. How does one get thousands of pages and walkie-talkies to explode at exactly the same moment? I'm Kim Commando for Incogni. Stop robocalls, spam text, junk email, and remove yourself from the internet. Get 60% off today at privacykin.com. Okay, we've always been able to send a message to multiple pagers at the same time. But from there, the story gets murky. The pagers were manufactured in Taiwan. But wait, they were designed in Budapest. Neither company is answering.
Excuse me for a few moments.
Lithium oxide batteries gave power to the pagers and walkie-talkies. And lithium batteries can be unpredictable, especially when they've been injected with an explosive. Survivors heard the pagers beep. Then a series of numbers appeared on the display for about 5 seconds before detonating. Just enough time for that code to trigger a tiny electronic circuit that shorted the battery, causing it to heat up and explode. Hey, you can enter to win a brand new iPhone 16 right now. Go to winfromkim.com. I'll never forget when my son asked me where in Los Angeles I lived so many years ago. I couldn't remember the house number on the street, but a couple of minutes later, Ian read me the exact address. He found it on a People Search website for free, along with my personal cell phone number. Yikes. It's not just me. I hear from folks all the time, shocked at what they can find out about themselves online. That's where Incogni comes in. Instead of navigating these tricky sites, Incogni does the work for you. So far, they've removed me from over 150 websites. Plus, my personal data is on 24 data suppression lists, meaning it's illegal for these companies to get my name ever again. Even better, they check on a regular basis that data brokers didn't sneak me back in. Try it for yourself and see how easy it is. Get 60% off with Incogni at privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com. 60% off now. privacykim.com.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
We don't just meet expectations, we exceed them. We don't just follow best practices, we set them. With Mitchell Roofing and Siding, you're not just choosing a service provider, you're choosing a partner who is relentless in the pursuit of perfection. A partner who believes in getting better every single day. Together, we're not just building roofs, we're building a legacy of betterment for generations to come. This is the future where we continue to get better together. Mitchell Roofing and Siding. Call us today, 996-8640.
The best way to describe Farmer Junior this time, South Dakota community is run by producers like myself.
Excuse me.
People can really get involved in and go somewhere with it and get things accomplished.
It put me in places that I didn't have access to before, and it put me in front of people that I never would have had a chance to be in front of.
Yep.
Are you looking for a liquor store that's got it all without the hassle? Well, you want to check out the new 49th Street Liquor at 49th in Minnesota. It's beautiful. It's clean, spacious. It's got all your favorite beer, wine, and spirits. The staff there is terrific, really helpful. They're going to guide you right to what you're looking for, and they'll help you even if you're not quite certain what you're looking for. They've got a massive walk-in beer cave with a lot of local brews. They've got the latest seltzers. Those are available in singles that you can find exactly what you like. If you're, let's say, preparing for a hunting trip, stock up on all your favorite beverages. Don't miss the Dakota Butcher section with fresh meats, steaks. They're delicious, by the way. They're absolutely fantastic. Pickled products and hot sauce. They've got convenient parking, only steps from the door, so your shopping experience starts easy. Don't forget to grab their coupon in the Dakota Scout for extra savings. It's 49th Street Liquor, so look for that coupon in the Dakota Scout. Save yourself even more. The new 49th Street Liquor, it's your go-to for quality, convenience, and a personalized experience. 49th Street Liquor at 49th in Minnesota.
Some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
But at least you can get up and know.
The Greg Belfrage Show with insightful opinions on the latest.
.638, fair skies in 54. Good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Now,
Add them on Facebook.
let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, stocks jumped yesterday with the Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 rising to all-time highs. So traders were cheering the Federal Reserve's decision on Wednesday to lower interest rates by a 0.5 percentage point. So numbers were up and a lot of excitement regarding that. Also, the interest rate for the most popular U.S. home loan fell last week to its lowest level in 2 years on anticipation that the Federal Reserve would start cutting interest rates, which it did. So the average contract rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage dropped 14 basis points, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. That was the lowest rate since September of 22 and followed a 14 basis point drop the previous week. The applications for home loans for purchases and refinancing jumped last week, they say, because of lower borrowing costs and improved housing affordability as home prices rising more slowly. Other stories trending this morning: a Kentucky judge was shot and killed in his chambers yesterday. Letcher County Sheriff Sean Steins was the one who shot the judge. Been charged with murder in the shooting. Shot the judge in his chambers. The two of them apparently got into an argument. No word on what that, at least at this point, what the argument might have been. And I think there was some hope then that the judge would be able to be saved. And officers and emergency personnel found him with multiple gunshot wounds. And they said they took life-saving measures, but unfortunately the judge died at the scene. And you've got local prosecutors, saying that they can't handle the case. The judge was family. And so the state will be pursuing this. The Kentucky Court of Justice said in a statement yesterday it is in contact with law enforcement, including Kentucky State Police. The investigation, of course, ongoing. The Chief Justice of the Kentucky Supreme Court said he was shocked by this act of violence. He said, in fact, the court system is shaken by this news. My prayers are with his family and the Letcher County community as they try and process and mourn this tragic loss. I ask for respect and privacy on their behalf. It's an incredible story. Also, Republican North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has denied involvement in a pornography scandal that surfaced yesterday. And he says he will remain in the race then to be the next governor in North Carolina. So CNN published a report yesterday afternoon alleging his use, they're saying, of a website, pornography website called Nude Africa. And there on the website, they allege he identified himself as a black Nazi. And there were a number of other things, it's which I really just don't want to share with you at this time of the morning. Also, the U.S. Secret Service reportedly looking into Elon Musk because he had a post on X pointing out that no one is trying to assassinate President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. He deleted the post later on, and when he was, there was actually a great story. Washington Examiner had a great story yesterday on that issue as he responded to it, and what he was making was an observation, and then it's Donald Trump that is the one who's at the center of all this violence that we're seeing. So that's why he said no one is trying to assassinate the president, Vice President Kamala Harris. And again, the story at Breitbart, I think, is lacking some context. Washington Examiner's got a really great piece on that story if you would like to find more information. Also, we're seeing the mugshot now of this Ryan Routh, who's 58 years old, and apparently authorities believe would have liked to have taken a shot at Donald Trump on the golf course on Sunday, so he was arrested. He is, as of now, not facing any charges in regard to the attempted assassination, but authorities are saying that they are proceeding. That's the case that they're trying to make. So his mugshot has been released, and he's smirking like an idiot. Also, lawmakers on Wednesday were told that Donald Trump had presidential level security in place when officers foiled the attempt on his life last weekend. So he had presidential level security, is what they're saying. Officials told House lawmakers that Trump had nearly all of the same protections afforded to President Biden at the time of the second attempt been put in place after the July 13th shooting. And task force chairman said, again, he had the same coverage as sitting president as he had last Sunday. We're talking mainly today with Secret Service. Also, Senator Tommy Tuberville told Fox Business, he told Larry Kudlow, the Navy SEALs should be pulled away from their combat assignments in order to stand guard at Mar-a-Lago. He said of Trump, they're trying to kill the only guy that has a chance to get this fixed. Of course, President Biden, I don't know who's running our country, but somebody needs to step to the plate and at least act like you care about a Republican candidate. But they truly don't. They could care less. He said there needs to be SEAL teams. There needs to be military. I don't know what these people are thinking. And of course, Chuck Schumer and McConnell, all these people running around up here with all kinds of security in Washington, D.C. And the one man that we need to protect is like Donald Trump, and they refuse to do it, he said. Also, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are in a deadlock in the state of Pennsylvania, according to a new poll. This was a poll yesterday from the Washington Post. Had Harris at 48% among likely and registered voters, Trump at 47%. A New York Times poll gave Harris, though, a slight edge. She's sitting at 50% compared to Trump's 46%. Nationally, however, the Times poll had Harris and Trump tied at 47%. Also, Hunter Biden, as you know, facing charges of unlawfully purchasing a firearm. The federal judge overseeing his conviction in Delaware agreed yesterday to push back his sentencing date 3 weeks from November 13th to December 4th, granting a request by Hunter Biden to allow more time for his attorneys to gather materials for his sentencing memorandum. So that has been pushed back again. Also, an Alaska man was arrested for threatening to torture and assassinate 6 U.S. Supreme Court justices and their family members. The 76-year-old man sent over 460 messages through the court's public website. He did this, the messages between March and July of 23 contained violent, racist, and homophobic rhetoric. He also allegedly threatened to kill the justices through torture, hanging, and firearms. So this guy was arrested and charged with a total of 22 counts of making threats against a federal judge and through interstate commerce. So he faces over 100 years in prison on all counts. So and I've seen this in all the reports, it's unclear whether the justices targeted are the 6 conservative justices. I think that would probably be a pretty good bet, that it would be the 6 conservative justices. It just so happens there are 6 conservative justices on the U.S. Supreme Court. Also, Luzerne County, Pennsylvania is getting rid of mail-in ballot drop boxes this November. They say they have security and safety concerns. So the days are now over for voters to cast a mail-in ballot into a drop box in Luzerne County. And some residents are pretty happy about it. He said, I feel county officials, Bureau and Board of Elections officials will sleep easier at night with those drop boxes eliminated from the election process. Other stories trending this morning. The Uncommitted National Movement said in a statement yesterday they will not endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. Also, don't mean that thinks they're endorsing Donald Trump. In fact, they're calling for their supporters to block a second term in office for Donald Trump. They are responsible for organizing hundreds of thousands of protest votes against Joe Biden during the Democrat primary over his handling of the Israel-Gaza conflict. And they continued protesting then at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois. So they don't like Trump, but neither are they endorsing Kamala Harris, they're saying. Also, Governor Greg Abbott formally declared a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, a foreign terrorist organization, at a press conference this week. And the group has made headlines this year after allegations that gang members took over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, as well as a hotel in downtown El Paso. So the gang is known for violent, illegal activities, including murder, drug smuggling. They also smuggle people, as well as extortion, authorities say. And Abbott said the recent entry and expansion of the vicious Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, is a dangerous and deadly problem facing our state and our nation. So he announced a statewide operation to aggressively target the gang. And this would involve a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years for members who smuggle people into Texas. The plan would also create a database to track gang members. And he said, our goal is to defend Texas from the growing threat of the gang. We will not let them use Texas as a base of operations to terrorize our citizens. They have a target on their back, and we're going after them. Texas is the wrong state for them to try to do business in. These Venezuelan gangs, it's incredible. We've never seen these Venezuelan gangs operating in the United States like this before. Also, there was a story about these are supporters of Donald Trump who say they suffered from eye injuries after sitting behind him at his rally in Tucson last week. For those of you who watch the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show on YouTube, I mentioned this yesterday. There are a number of stories actually trending this morning. You can find more at freespoke.com. This story is from the Daily Mail. At least half a dozen people say they were seated on stage behind Trump and they were afflicted that they had irritation in their eyes, needed medical attention. There's several of them. And one actually went to the hospital, went to the emergency room. She said the emergency room staff, from the triage nurse to the PA, asked, "Are you sure you didn't get sprayed with something? Your symptoms look like you got sprayed with something," she said. So you've got a number of these supporters. She said, "I can't see anything. When I try to open my eyes, I see a bright light." By the way, she's doing better. The vision problems, though, persisted for several days. The woman's brother had the same issues. He said, "It was all focused on my eyes. My eyes were red like hell. You know, it's unbearable. I couldn't handle it." At least one other Trump supporter, a local realtor, had to cancel all of her scheduled business for the weekend because she couldn't see. So there are a lot of questions regarding those those eye injuries. What is it that caused that? And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. And you can find trending stories anytime at freespoke.com. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
It's close to home or halfway around.
My friend, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope you'll join me for the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. Do that every day at 9:30 on YouTube. Please hit the like button. Hope to see you again next time. Thank you.